And so I just want to quickly introduce her. So Ruth's the senior research associate who's working on the strands. We're extraordinarily lucky to have her because she really does have that experience across the disciplines. So she undertook a PhD in wet lab sciences in CMM, cellular molecular medicine, working with David Wraith on cytokines in peptide immunotherapy in mouse models of multiple sclerosis. She then moved into population health sciences, working with Lavinia Paternoster and George Davey-Smith. And what she's done that's brilliant for us is she's brought her expertise from both fields, but also her enthusiasm for connecting people and helping people. And she's therefore helping to really facilitate people who have hit roadblocks in this kind of work. So I'm very pleased that she's working with us, and she's going to give us a little presentation about some of those things. Take it away, Ruth.
Great, thank you, Chrissy. Yes, so welcoming slide. I hope you've all realised you're in the right place and on Remo here. And what I'd like to do in this talk is to give you a high-level overview of some theory behind integrating fundamental bioscience and population health. And then we're going to have some excellent talks by some wonderful speakers in flash talks that will give you more concrete examples of how an interdisciplinary project can work. And then I'm going to finish up my talk by giving an overview of where the strand can help and where you can engage with the strand should you so wish. I've popped our website up, as Emma mentioned as well, so please do go have a look at that. It can be found through the EBI website. So thinking about this crosstalk between epidemiology and laboratory science, starting with population health sciences. So this is looking at health within a population, and we tend to look at an exposure and an outcome. And we look at the association between the two, and what we're really aiming for is causality. We want to know causality in that relationship. Does the exposure cause the outcome? And once we establish that, we establish the association and we look at ways of looking at causality, we then take that into further downstream analysis. So advantages of doing population health research is you're then using a whole body human system, and you can use these to inform laboratory science. So then laboratory science or fundamental bioscience is just excellent in the way that it can go down to very minute levels in terms of pathways, proteins, genes in cells and model organisms. And you're looking at how those affect the disease or the trait of interest. And actually in a human, it's very difficult to instrument activity in an intracellular pathway. And we're also limited by what we can ethically do in humans as well. And so then the two come together and we have fundamental bioscience that can improve the functional relevance and also provide validity for population health sciences, and population health sciences which can increase human and clinical relevance of the fundamental bioscience discovery. But in both of these, we're essentially aiming for improved patient health, and with that, the improved treatment and prevention of human disease. And we need these both working together, and they can work together through this. So just like to take a deeper look at both of those. So thinking deeper about population health sciences, and I've mentioned this, this exposure outcome association and the causality in that. And one of the things that is a consideration in that relationship are confounders, and they'll mask the real association between an exposure and an outcome. When I'm talking about an exposure and an outcome, this can be high-level traits, or it can be proteins, metabolites, anything we can measure within a human population. So To answer that question of relationship between the two, we have different studies that we can use. So cross-sectional studies, case control, cohorts, and the gold standard randomized control trials, because the randomization takes away that confounding. So just wanted to mention a few cohort studies, which is what we use. So we have the Avon longitudinal study of parents and children, or the children of the 90s, and we have UK Biobank. And there are many of these across the UK and across the world, and they all have their different advantages to the question that you are asking. So for example, ALSPAC is a multi-generational birth cohort, and UK Biobank is in adults, and it has a huge number of adults, meaning that we can sort out that association in an easier way. So within all of those sits genetics, and we can look at genetics with genome-wide association studies, so looking at genetic variants that are associated with an outcome. A phenome-wide association study where your exposure is a genetic variant or a sum of genetic variants into a score, and Mendelian randomization, which I'm all sure you've heard about. So Mendelian randomization is looking at this exposure and the outcome, and the way it gets around the confounding is that it uses genetic variants to proxy for the exposure. So very, very briefly, we have, this is the way that you do it, is that you take the genetic variants that are associated with your exposure from a GWAS of that exposure, and you essentially extract the selected SNPs from the outcome GWAS. So you need both GWAS, both the exposure and the outcome, and then you draw and you plot the effect on the exposure and the effect on the outcome, and the slope of the line gives you the causal effect. Now that's very quick. There's lots of sensitivity analyses that we do to ensure that, but I just wanted to highlight MR-Base, which is a collation of GWAS summary statistics that enables this, and all the methods of MR within that as well. But please do come talk to us if you feel like this is a method that you would like to use. We can introduce you to the right people. We can help you with your analysis. So just some other things wanted to highlight that we do. There are lots and lots of different databases available in the genetic world. And so you can have a genetic variant of interest or a gene, and you search for these in published GWAS to see what they are associated with. Or, for example, you can use the GTEx portal, which will show you what tissue of interest your gene is expressed in. So then I've shown you kind of a bit of the techniques that we can do in a population-based study, and then thinking about fundamental bioscience. And really this depends on your question of interest as to what model organism you would use. So human cells, mouse, rat, bacteria, viruses, Drosophila, and then also your technique. So gene modification, CRISPR, retroviral transduction, electrophysiology, live imaging, organoid and spheroid culture, and many, many more. This is just a snapshot. This is actually made from the expert list that is on our website. And if you would like to be part of that, please do let us know. And essentially that's saying, yes, I'm open to being contacted about interdisciplinary projects. So within that space between those two areas is where the mechanisms to population strand sits. And we aim to facilitate interdisciplinary research. We want to overcome some of the challenges within that. And as Emma said at the beginning, we want to be that point of contact. We want to offer that home so that if you're thinking about a project but don't really know where to go, please come and talk to us. And we aim to kind of go, okay, here's a project or here's an idea, how can we take that forward and facilitate that? And within that, as Emma already mentioned, there is some research time and expertise to be able to take those projects forward. So this is a project timeline and where the Strand can help. So community building, and thank you very much for being part of our first Connect and Collaborate event and part of the community building across the university here. So we can initiate collaborations. This might happen here at an event like this. It could be through introductions that we make, and they might just be one-off introductions so that you know them. It might be that we make those introductions and they lead to a project. There is a range that we can do there. If you're looking to get funding for your interdisciplinary project, then we maintain a list of funders as well. And within that, we also read and comment on grant applications. We can perform discrete pieces of work, provide letters of support, help with grant costings. And we also provide some training, so maintain a list of relevant courses, some how-to guides, and also if you're interested in learning a specific technique, please come talk to us and we can train you up within that. And so I'd like to leave you there. Please get in contact if we can help. And as Emma said, if there's something that you think this would really facilitate my interdisciplinary research, but you don't feel we're providing it, please come and talk to us because we would love to be able to do that and provide that. Thank you.